Hi, I'm Rita, and I never thought my own mother could steal my dream. Here's the story. After graduating from school, I didn't know what I'd like to do in life. I became apathic because of this uncertainty, and I didn't want to do anything at all. I almost stopped eating and thus lost much weight. And once, Mom reminded me at lunch that Newton discovered the law of gravity during a break, and Mendeleev saw his table of elements in his sleep. Indeed, I should go let down. Maybe something comes to my mind. I fell asleep almost immediately. I saw a catwalk. There were lamps and photographers all around. I heard applause. Mom and I were walking in parallel, and the public was ecstatic. I jumped to my feet. My forehead was covered in sweat. My breath was short, but I still could feel that atmosphere. Honestly, I've always wanted to be a model, but as a little girl I was chubby and, well, this work didn't seem serious to me. But this dream was so real. I understood I wanted to do exactly this. In addition, a couple of years ago, I've grown taller, and now I lost much weight too. Mom supported me and found a modeling studio right away. Thank you, Mommy! The agency boss, Rose, immediately said I had a type and accepted me as her student. Wow, how cool! Suddenly an administrator came to Rose and said the studio was invited to the opening party of a clothes shop, Mom and Daughter. There'll be a pair show with young and older models, and it would take place just in 1 week. Oh, Rose, I'm dying to take part, may I? But she laughed and said it was out of question. I didn't have any skills, and she'd never allow me to shame her studio. No skills? Well, I'll have some then. I tortured the teachers, and we spent several hours each day training. I must be the best before the final watch. The day of model selection, I felt so nervous. Come on, Rita, pull yourself together. Rose started announcing the names of the fashion show participants, but I didn't hear my name there. Well, that hurt. Then Rose came to me and said, "You're in too." I've never seen such dedication in any of my students. I flew home as if I had wings and told Mom everything right from the door. We had a party all right with a family fashion show. That's a shame, I'll have a professional model to walk with, not you, Mom. She hugged me and said she'd support me anyway, and I'd feel her vibes even through a distance. I was so nervous I couldn't fall asleep, so in the morning I had to use patches to remove the puffiness from my eyelids. Today is the show of my life. It'll open a door to a bright future for me. Mom and I were so nervous not to be late that we even arrived 1 hour earlier, but Rose was on the spot already. She blindsided me right away. I was removed from the show. What? This can't be. You yourself told me I was in. But it turned out my colleague was sick and no one could replace her. Rose, wait, let's think something out. Mom and I were trying to model yesterday at home, and she was good, honestly. Let her walk with me. Rose replied coldly that wasn't an option. I fell on Mom's shoulder and burst into tears. How unfair is this? I was making so much effort. Just why must I suffer because someone was sick? Mom embraced me tightly and said something that stopped my tears right away. But we won't leave, and we'll have what is ours. What do you mean? And then Mom said we needed to find the costumes backstage and go to the catwalk as nothing had happened. It was so chaotic around, no one would even notice us. And when we are on stage already, it's all or nothing. I wasn't risking anything. In the worst case, I'd just have to change the modeling studio. Mom, you are a spy, all right. I never thought you could offer something like that. Surely I'm in. We ran to the costume room, but it was locked. Damn it! Where do we find the keys? Half an hour passed, but no one came to the room. We should hurry, the show starts any minute now. Suddenly Rose appeared. She entered the door we needed. That was our only chance. We cracked the door a little, saw her digging in some clothes, and hid behind the coat racks. I wish she didn't notice us. Oh no, she moved our direction. But then someone entered and said the show had started. Rose ran out immediately. I quickly found my costume and the matching one for Mom. It fitted her perfectly. We rushed behind the scenes. The models were alternating on the catwalk every minute. That's our time. We stood together when Rose spotted us and shouted, "Get out of here!" But we never planned to withdraw and entered the catwalk with confidence. Stage lights hit my eyes, making it almost impossible to see the audience. But it was good. We took a couple of steps when I heard applause. It was exactly as in my dream. Could it be a prophetic dream after all? The hall exploded and asked for more. Mom and I found out what to do quickly. We swapped places and walked again to a loud applause. I've always known I had talent, and now it's officially proven. Rose was standing still, astounded, and even didn't say anything when we returned backstage. In 1 minute, she'll rush to congratulate me. But I couldn't even guess what would happen next. The organizers ran to Mom, asking who she was and from which modeling studio. Rose immediately popped in and claimed it was her best model having her debut today. What? Wait, what's happening here? Isn't it me who should be congratulated? Then it was all blurry. Mom was taken to the catwalk. Then there was a photo shoot. The administrator produced one contract after another. No one noticed me. I walked home absent-mindedly. My life had overturned in 1 second. What do I do when Mom comes home? Do I congratulate her or scold her? She stole my dream after all. I can't believe it all ended like this. But on the other hand, Mom turned out to be talented. But I feel so bad anyway. I went online and saw multiple breaking news. A new modeling star is rising. She's 40, but she'll conquer this world. Just wow. Mom came home late at night, but I didn't know how to look in her eyes. Then I recalled how she'd always supported me and even committed a crime just to allow me to walk the podium. Mom, it was my dream, and I'm really confused now, but I'm so happy you turned out to have this talent. This is so cool. Mom pulled me into an embrace and said she wasn't going to walk this path alone. She demanded they change the contracts so that from now on we'd participate in all future fashion shows together, and tomorrow we are flying to Paris. What? I'm running to pack my suitcase already. Did you like the video? Subscribe and give us a like. Support our channel. Thank you.
Latex bodysuit was so tight that I couldn't breathe, and the fishnet ties painfully dug into my thighs. I opened the dressing room curtain and waited in horror for my mom to say something, but she looked at me in silence, turned around and went somewhere. And it was clearly over the top. But a couple of minutes later, she came back with a fluffy Playboy girl tail and said it would perfectly complement my look. It all started one strange morning. I was having breakfast when my mother ran into the kitchen yelling that she needed help. I was the only one who could save her. I finished my sandwich while my mom dragged me into the car. What's going on? She started the engine and asked for my college's address. What's the point? My mom was never interested in my studies. She was at the parties all day long. As soon as we drove away from the house, my mom asked me to pretend to be her friend. I think she fell in love with the guy from my college, and now she wants to seduce him. Mom, are you crazy? We pulled up to the college and stopped at the main entrance. Mom pointed a finger at one of the guys. Here he is. My classmate, Frank? It was like an electric shock. I've been in love with him for a year. We've only talked a couple of times, but it was enough to understand that we were soulmates. And now my mother and I are pinning for the same guy. You will help me, right? My mother's voice brought me back to reality. I hesitated. This is some kind of nonsense. No one will believe that we are friends. And then my mom blurted out that if I didn't agree, she wouldn't pay for my studies anymore. I could tell by her attitude that she wasn't joking after she gave birth to me at 17. My mom never tried to get an education. I didn't want such a fate for myself. Hesitantly, I still agreed to help her seduce Frank. Hopefully she'll switch to another guy soon. My mom always does that. Mom decided that I would take her to the party where Frank would be, and then Mom would do everything herself. Scrolling through college students' Facebook pages, I found out that one guy's parents have left, and he's going to have a Playboy-style party. My mother was delighted, but I was not in the mood for jokes. I hoped at the last that rabbit ears would be enough for the costume. At the set time, we're standing on the doorstep. I was burning with shame because of the tight bodysuit, but my mom was delighted. Some drunk guys were whistling to us from the other side of the street. I pressed the doorbell hard. Hurry up and let us in. But when my classmate Anne opened the door, it turned out that everyone at the party was in ordinary clothes. Am I being played? and explained that the other girls were too shy to come in revealing costumes, and asked what my friend's name was. "Ma?" I started but then stopped. "Melanie." My mother gave me a reproachful look as she came in. I almost revealed her. While my mother hovered in front of the mirror, I decided to look around the house. Suddenly, I saw Frank sweetly smiling at some girl. My stomach clenched. I didn't know he had a girlfriend. Then my mother came back, and I thought that since she had noticed Frank with this girl, she'd decide to give up her crazy idea. But that didn't happen. My mother said that some youngsters are not a rival to her, and as soon as Frank went to get them drinks, Mom grabbed a burning candle from the table and went to that girl. "Mom, stop!" I saw her decisively holding the candle right to the girl's hair, and her luxuriant curls burnt into flame in an instant. Fortunately, the fire was quickly extinguished, but Frank's girlfriend almost lost her hair. My mom was happy that she got rid of her rival so easily. She was about to suck up to Frank, but I heard that the guys were going to call the police. "We're leaving." "Just what we need, the cops." My mother gave Frank a languid look and introduced herself. God, this is so embarrassing. The next day, Mom dragged me outside to follow Frank and accidentally meet him. Mom found his Instagram page and saw that he usually spends time playing gambling machines, and she took me there. Against the backdrop of teenagers in oversized hoodies, she looked too provocative in her tight dress. Everyone was looking at us, but my mother didn't mind. She was looking for Frank. Fortunately, he wasn't there. We were just about to leave when my mom called out. "Here he is," and she dragged me somewhere. Frank was playing the dance platform. How cool he was dancing. I stared at him, and of course he noticed. Embarrassed, I approached him and immediately apologized for yesterday. But then my mom chimed in. She started bragging about how he could dance on dance platforms as well as Scott Pilgrim from the horror movie. What? Before I could protest, my mom grabbed my arm and immediately dragged me to the dance platform. I didn't dance at all, and neither did my mom. But my mom tried so hard. She was even sweating. And I was helplessly twitching, hoping to get a little bit into the rhythm. I thought it couldn't get any worse. But suddenly, during the next movement, my mom brushed against me and I lost my balance. Frank tried to catch me, but I fell and twisted my leg. It hurt so bad. He examined my ankle and said that there was no fracture. I just needed to ice it. My mom began to convince Frank that I was alright. Offered to go to another platform. But Frank refused. You should have seen my mom's face. She was burning with jealousy. I went to college the next day even though my leg still hurt. Frank asked me how I was feeling at every break. It was so nice. He said I was cool. He wished we'd talked before. He did soften me up. Could we really be something? But Frank immediately destroyed all my hopes. He asked if my friend was free for the weekend. It was like a bucket of ice water was poured over me. He had a crush on my mom after all. Fighting back tears, I said I'd pass on the invitation and said goodbye to Frank. My mom was preparing for a date all evening, sorting through dresses and thinking about what makeup would suit her best. I just wanted to disappear. My life was falling apart. In the morning, when she and Frank left, I burst into tears. What should I do if things worked out for them? Pretend to be my mother's friend until I'm old? No, I can't do that. Frank may not have chosen me, but he needs to know the truth. I tried to call him, but the phone was offline. Then I began to write to my classmates. Maybe someone knew the address of Frank's cottage, but no one answered. I was already desperate, but one girl answered me, and I immediately called a taxi. As soon as I arrived, I immediately rushed to knock on the door. No one opened it, but I kept going. And finally, Frank looked out, surprised. At the back of the house, I saw my mother sitting carelessly with a glass of wine in her hands. It made me so angry. There was nothing left to lose, so I turned to Frank and told him the most important thing. My mother was visiting him, and I had been in love with him for a year. I was relieved to admit it. How unbearable it was to carry this burden. Mom jumped up from the couch, throwing her glass on the floor. She shouted that I was a traitor and ran into the street only in dress. Frank was taken aback at first, but quickly pulled himself together and said that we needed to find her. It could be dangerous in the forest. After all, we were quite far from the city. We immediately went in search of her. I was so excited. I just wanted to tell the truth, but it turned out I just messed it up. Why did Frank react so calmly? Suddenly, he said that he had known the truth for a long time. Someone from college recognized my mom at the party, and rumors spread fast. At first, it was just fun for him to watch this, but soon he really liked me. But for my mom, he had a special plan. Frank wanted her to meet his father, because she was definitely his type. I felt so ashamed that I thought my whole face blushed. We walked through the forest for a long time and called for my mom, but she was nowhere to be found. We were already cold ourselves when we suddenly came to an old bus stop. And there was Mom. She was sitting there in her little dress and was already fainting from the cold. I ran to her and hugged her. It was great that she was okay. Frank immediately gave her his jacket, and we called a taxi. We went back to the cottage. We were met at the door by a polite and handsome man, Frank's father. He was surprised to see us like this and said we could use some hot tea. I even thought that he would really be a great match for my mother. But my mother, when she looked at Frank's father, was taken aback. Without taking her eyes off him, she whispered, "Is it really you?" Then she slowly shifted her gaze and said, "Lily, this is your father. Say hello." I could feel my legs faltering. I think I just found out that I had been in love with my own brother for a year.